How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the Relentless Growth Podcast. I'm Jack Maher here with my good friend Chase Calhoun, and we got a great episode for you today. We're going to be talking AI. Obviously, that's a popular topic. We'll be kind of giving our takes on it. But first, we just want to give appreciation to everybody listening. Encourage everybody to like and leave a review if you're liking the content, or if you've got a topic you want to hear, let us know. And we're going to start out this week like we do every week with a win. So Chase, start us out with a win.
Yeah, good morning. I hope you're doing well. Hope everybody listening is doing well. I think a big one for me, I'm out this week for a GoBundance event. It's a leadership specific event. And so today will be the third and final day, but just really digging into leadership and having some good conversations. And so it's been a great event so far. And then, maybe just a little bit of an update. So I'm here doing this right now. Business is going well. We're rocking and rolling on just, again, more of these build to rent projects we finished up. We're finishing up a handful of them right now, but we're getting ready to start like another group of 8 of them. So really just right now focused on trying to find more. We're doing a lot of infill lots. So we're trying to find more infill lots. And then also looking at some bigger projects. We did have we've got a subdivision that we were trying to have rezoned to allow for duplexes. That it's been a little bit of an interesting experience. So it was denied at the planning commission, and then there was one board of directors, like a city council member, that's not on board with it. And I think she made sure that everybody else wasn't on board with it prior to the meeting. So it's been a good learning experience to say the least. So. How about you? What's a good win, and then maybe an update on what's going on in your world?
Yeah, sure. A win, a work win for sure was we have I'll call it a managers meeting every week, where anybody who's in charge of people, we meet with them. It's usually about 15 people in the room. And 2 weeks ago, I challenged everybody and given everybody extreme ownership to read the book. And I was really impressed with how seriously everybody took it, and the takeaways they came up with. And so that's a big win, especially, tying into what you were talking about earlier with leadership. That's a big component of it. And so that was a big win, a big encouragement to us that kind of we've got a lot of people that are willing to learn. And then on the update front,
man, I can't help to stress that enough. So we started the meeting with, like, how would you define leadership, and who's somebody that you can think of that exemplifies leadership and why? And Jocko is somebody that, like, that's who I mentioned. And I mentioned that book to the table I was sitting at, and a lot of guys were like buying the book right then and there. I think it's a great book for anybody to grab that wants to learn.
I told our guys, I read that book twice a year. It's a great refresher and a reminder that, hey, this is what real leadership looks like. But then from the update front, finally we're down here in Spring Hill, about 30 minutes south of Nashville, Tennessee, and it's been raining. We've had the wettest year on record, I think. And so we finally got a week of dry weather, and looks like a pretty good amount of dry weather. So our biggest thing lately is developments, getting dirt work done, getting dirt moved, being able to put utilities in. We've been in a standstill on a lot of projects coming out of the wintertime. And so with dry weather, getting able to free that up has been by far our biggest update, our biggest win on that side of it. And so we're moving dirt on 2 separate multifamily sites right now. And so it's been great to be able to actually make a little bit of progress with the dry weather as well.
That's awesome. Yeah, the weather's been a little goofy for sure. It's been a weird year.
Well, let's kind of start off the AI topic with just kind of what was your intro to it? How did you first hear about it? How did you get started in it? Just kind of tell your backstory with how that all started with you.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, I don't know. I feel like AI has been something that's been talked about or been around for years, right? But never really like in a maybe a usable way for, like, I consider myself not a super techie person until a couple years ago. I want to say maybe it's probably a year and a half ago. I was at a conference and I heard somebody really dig into, like, AI, how they're using it, the things they're testing and stuff like that. I think that's around the time ChatGPT started becoming a little bit more mainstream. So I think it was shortly after ChatGPT was probably launched or went mainstream that I started playing with it a little bit. But I would say I really didn't use it a whole lot at first, just kind of more thought it was cool, and I was impressed by what it could do. And then I would say for me, probably over the last 6 to 8 months, I've really been digging into it. So reading a lot about it and just trying to spend some time learning about it, and really, really digging in and how I can use it just kind of in my day-to-day life, but especially in business. And I would say now I'm shifting towards really trying to like use it as much as possible. So it's very interesting how quickly it's evolved, especially just with a lot of people being able to use it. How about yourself?
Yeah, very similar story. Even when I was in college, 10 years ago, people were talking about it, but I didn't really know what that meant. And I certainly couldn't use it. And so, same thing. A year and a half ago, when ChatGPT first came out, was the only real way. I'm the same way. I'm not technical at all, and so the way that I could interact with it. And so, in the beginning, it was just kind of a novelty thing. You ask it weird questions, or you just kind of treat it like a like Google for lack of a better term. And it was helpful. And then same thing over the past 6 months, getting exposed and seeing some people who've really, really been able to leverage it, and build companies, build brands, really dig deep and have it work for you. And so it's been a gradual evolution of kind of its capabilities have increased, but also I think maybe my trust in it, or my concept of the potential of using AI has developed a lot. And so I'm excited about using it kind of moving forward to see what it can do to benefit the business.
Yeah, yeah, it's wild. Again, it just impresses me how much it evolved over a short amount of time. Um, I guess what's some day to day type stuff that you're using it either personally or in your business, just like some just common uses that you're using it for, not the crazy ones, but just some of the common
Yeah.
stuff. For.
One of the first great use cases that I was excited about is we have something called the Unified Development Code here in Spring Hill, and it's 400 pages, and it's virtually unworkable. Multiple parts of it contradict other parts of it, and it's just kind of a mess to interpret. And so I uploaded the whole document to ChatGPT, created a dedicated window. I can explain to Chat the problem I'm having or the answer I want. It'll give me the answer, and then it'll cite where in the document it found it, so that I can go back and read it and make sure, that it works the way it is. But I mean, that saved me an untold amount of hours interpreting that document. And so, that's a pretty baseline task. But I feel like everybody's got documents like that in their business, where whether it's a legal document that's not crazy private, that you need help with, or things like that. Just the ability for it to quickly look up information and scan massive amounts of data. Just even as a simple tool like that, it's been very useful when you're talking about building codes, or a building code book is 1,000 pages, and so when we do need specific answers on stuff like that, it's been invaluable to be able to just quickly dissect that stuff and save us a ton of time.
Yeah. I've used this for some more complex stuff, and then but like some of the real basic stuff that I've been using it for a lot lately is just like so I can have it help me respond to like emails and text messages, and just so I can dictate it. Like I can copy the message, either the email or the text message, into ChatGPT, and then I can just hit the little microphone button. I can talk my response, and I can do my pauses and my ums and all that kind of stuff, and then it'll draft it into like a really well written with good grammar response. And I'll tell it to do it in my tone or whatever. So it sounds like me talking. It's just, I'm not having to sit down and like proofread and do all. It just made it a lot faster for me to respond to simple stuff like emails and things like that. I know one thing, like with my team, we've got an office administrator is starting to take on more and more of our property management duties and roles, but she's got zero property management experience. So I'm like, hey, before definitely, like, you can always come to us and ask us a question. Absolutely, if you have a question. But before you do that, if you're not sure, just copy. If it's like a maintenance request and you're not sure how to handle it, just copy, paste that into ChatGPT and say, hey, work for a property management company. We got this maintenance request. I'm not sure how to deal with it. Ask me a couple questions to help me figure it out. And it's wild how it can help somebody just very simply work through an issue that she may not have normally known the answer to. And then also, that sounds good. Can you please help me draft a request to the vendor for this repair? And it'll spit something out. It's a copy and paste. I will say you have to be careful if you're doing that, because when you copy and paste, sometimes there'll be like extra wording at the top, and it'll be like, "Here's your response. Please let me know if you want to make any changes." Copy, paste, send. So and you send that in there, and somebody else uses ChatGPT, they're going to know that you're responding to them through chat. So I've done that a couple of times. It's a little bit embarrassing. So I just say, like, one, proofread it, make sure that it's like the information that's being shared is correct, and then two, just make sure you're not copy and pasting the excess in there, because it looks silly when you do that. But it's funny. That's something I've been using it for a lot. And then I guess like what you did, the complex stuff, I've used it for a couple. We had a sales tax question. And it's like, I called my CPA, and the CPA was like, I don't know, call the sales tax auditors with the state. And I called the sales tax auditor, and they're like, yeah, I'm not really sure, but here's the link to the 1,000-page Arkansas sales tax code law. Your answer's in there somewhere. And it's just taking that whole document, pasting it in there, and then asking the same question. It spit out a very clear, concise response with where they found it. And so it's just interesting how you can use it. I tell people it's like having a friend with a perfect IQ that you can have help you with stuff. That's kind of how I look at it.
And like one interesting use case I did the other day, which again is pretty simple, but I'm going through the process of updating my LinkedIn and filling in all the stuff. And I did zero prompting. I said, hey, give me a bio for myself for LinkedIn. The accuracy and the information that it had learned about me just through like our interactions was ridiculous. And I mean, it was a fantastic bio. Like, I never would have written it myself, because I wouldn't have thought to like include all the information that it did. But with zero prompting, just taking from previous conversations, it was kind of an eye-opening moment where it was like, wow, it's incredible the knowledge that it does have about you with just your daily interactions. And so that was kind of an eye-opening moment where it was a really simple task, but it did it in such a great way. And it is getting so much better at writing in a way that doesn't seem like AI. Yeah. I feel like a year ago, it was a little choppy, like it was a little clunky, like you could identify some patterns. Now that bio reads like a copywriter at an ad agency wrote it, and it's flawless. And so that was a really fascinating, just like little thing that I did just the other day that was really cool.
I had kind of a funny one. It's just a little bit weird. We were using it a bunch for writing like listing descriptions, so either for sale listing descriptions or like for the rental listing descriptions. And it writes really great listing descriptions. And it cuts something like, back in the day, I'd have to sit there and like really think through it and, write it out, and it'll spit it out in a second. Well, a weird one was I was just out of curiosity. So I built my house. It has never been listed for sale. It has never been listed for rent. Like, it's never been anywhere on the internet. Right. And I said, write a listing description for me. And I put my address in there for my house. And it was scary. It was like scary how accurate it was. And it was probably just guessing or making it up based on the neighborhood. Right. But it was wild. It was, if I was selling my house, like I had maybe one or two tiny little tweaks or edits, and it would have been perfect without having anything to base it off of. So it's just kind of interesting how it's able to do that stuff. But again, it's probably pulling information from the, similar homes listed in that neighborhood type thing. And so it's wild. It's one of those tasks it can handle.
Yeah. And I think I know some people we haven't implemented, but you mentioned property management earlier. I know a lot of guys who are exploring AI like call centers, essentially, where they'll actually handle maintenance requests and they'll talk directly with people and they'll coordinate responses. And so that's a level that we haven't dug into yet. But I think that's kind of another layer that I see us at least playing with soon, just to kind of see how that operates, because maintenance, those tasks they're difficult and they're time consuming and it's easy to get them wrong. And so if there was a true way to automate that, I mean, it would be a massive deal. Right now we have to have somebody on call 24 hours a day to answer calls and stuff like that. And so it's a burden on the workforce, and, people don't love it. And so things like that have a ton of potential to really impact our business in a meaningful way.
So it's already there. It already exists. And it's getting better quickly, and it's coming very soon. And so, like, one thing that we're doing right now, we just implemented Appfolio, which is a new property management software for us, but it's one of the bigger ones out there. And we've got this office administrator that we're training to take over all the customer and tenant facing conversations. But it's like almost every conversation I'm having with them, I'm like, hey, you're probably not going to love this part of the job because it's not the most fun thing. But, like, don't worry too much about it, because you're not going to be doing it in 6 months. I can almost promise you, like, AI is going to be doing it. And I'm like, I want you to learn it because I want somebody to be able to monitor and make sure the AI is handling things correctly. Or if there's issues, to be able to step in and, like, have a real person resolve it. I'm like, but I promise you will be doing it. With Appfolio specifically, they've already got we're going to be doing a call. They've got a system for the maintenance specifically that's all AI generated maintenance responses. And it's stuff that, like, if a perfect maintenance department that was all built out would handle a maintenance call, like the AI is doing it like that, including, like, before they'll even open a maintenance invoice and send it to a vendor, they're, like, trying to troubleshoot the problem first. It's like, that's an issue we ran into the past, where maybe we have somebody that's, like, they're a good property manager, but they don't know anything about electrical systems. It's like trying to get them to troubleshoot a trip breaker before we pay to send somebody out there. Like, the AI is going to automatically do it first. So it's like, okay, before we do this, can you try this, this, and this? And then if that doesn't work, then we'll dispatch it to the correct person, do follow-ups automatically. And so it's just wild, because there's still going to be a need for a human to be monitoring it all. It's just the way I look at it, it's going to be an amplifier for that person. We still want that rock star customer service person to, like, own that. But if they can use AI, almost like an AI team, to do their job easier and less stressful, like, especially with property management, like, nobody wants to get yelled at by somebody because the maintenance request didn't get taken on or didn't get handled quickly enough. Or another one we're looking at is with rent collections. Like, there's AI software out there that can help with the rent collections, and, like, it's super important, but humans don't, like, that's a hard thing to do. And so if you can have an AI agent do that opposed to a human, like, that's going to be, I think it's going to be a game changer, and it's coming very quickly.
Yeah, I think you made a great point there of, you've still got to have, a rock star running that department. But if you can use the AI to leverage them, I feel like it's, I don't know. I feel like some people are going about AI a little bit the wrong way, in my opinion, where they're trying to replace everybody. And that still, I don't think we're quite there yet. And it scares me a little bit, just from the standpoint of, you still need great people. You still need ownership. You still need somebody driving the process, I think. But if you can, we all know how difficult it is to hire fantastic people right now, and we've been fortunate and we've got some great ones. But if we can, when we do find that person, it's always a challenge to hire more. And so if they can drive the results of 4 people with AI at their same level of quality, then I think that's where the real benefit is. And I still think you need that human interaction a little bit. You need somebody driving it. You need somebody looking over their shoulder. And I'm super excited for it. And especially, again, to your point with collections, that's something that people don't like doing. Same thing with maintenance calls at 2 a.m. If you can take away the things from your people that are the not fun part of their job, and if they're still in charge of it, but somebody else has to execute it, they're going to be more satisfied at work. The customers are going to be more satisfied because they're dealing with somebody who's purpose built for that scenario. And so I think it'll increase employee satisfaction as well, if you're able to mitigate some of the downsides of those positions. And for property management, doing some not fun things is just a reality of the job, and if AI can take out 50% of that, that's a huge deal.
Yeah. And one concern that I have, and I think a lot of people's first reaction, and she even said that, she's like, well, what happens to my job if AI takes over all these things? And I said, you absolutely don't have to worry about your job, especially since, like, we want you to, like, really become an expert at this and learn how to leverage leverage AI and like use AI to make things more efficient. I'm like, if anything else, that's going to make you more valuable in the workforce moving forward. It's the people that are like, oh, I don't want, that's going to take my job, therefore I don't want anything to do with it. Like those are the people that are probably going to have a hard time in the future, because it is going to start taking some of those tasks. And if they're not willing to, or they don't know how to use it, it's going to be like a negative to them. So like one thing I was talking to her about, I'm like, just try to use it every day for something. And just test it. And it's like, if you have a question, like before, AppFolio is a good one. And we even brought on a consultant that's an expert. It's been super helpful. But I'm like, before we ask the consultant or call and wait on hold with AppFolio for 10 minutes to answer a simple question, like type it in there and see if you can figure it out using ChatGPT. And that's going to help her get better at it and really learn how to use it. And so I think, the wrong thing for people to do, especially in the workforce, to just say like, oh, it's bad. Like, I don't want to learn how to use it. Like, that's the wrong approach. Like, even if it's just for simple stuff, try to use it. And this is something I think that somebody challenged me with probably a year ago. It was just try to use it for something once a day, because it just gives you practice and experience and gives you more exposure to it. And so I think it's a good way to look at it. But I do think it is going to shift a lot of stuff in the workforce moving forward.
No, I think you're right. I think that's a great encouragement. And that's what we've tried to do with our team as well, is just play with it, just use it. And the other thing is, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy of the more you use AI, the more it knows about you, which scares some people, but the better its answers are. Like it gave that amazing LinkedIn bio where if I had just gone on there, if I had just created an account and logged in for the first time and said, hey, make a LinkedIn bio about me, it would have been generic. It would have been clunky. But because I've been interacting with it daily over the course of a year or 18 months, it knows a lot. And so it can give you a better answer. And so the more you interact with it, the more it knows about your job, your situation, what you're trying to accomplish, and the better its answers are going to get. And so I think that's something that scares people. Honestly, they're like, well, I don't really want it knowing about me. But in the same way, it's just, it's kind of like, I look at it kind of like targeted ads. None of us really like them, but we also buy a lot of stuff from targeted ads because they're good at what they do. Like they know the stuff that people like. And so it's an effective tool. It may not be people's favorite tool, but you've got to embrace it, at least in a small way, because, I think in the next 6 months, year, it's going to be integrated into most positions, and especially positions that financial, accounting, situations based on rules. I think it's going to really impact the law industry. It's going to be really interesting to see how it plays out.
I had an interesting conversation with an attorney recently, not my attorney, but an attorney. And he is very aware of this, and he has completely shifted his entire law practice because he knows that his whole practice was going to get replaced by AI. And it was just a matter of when, like it was going to happen. And so he was smart enough to realize that and is started to change. And so he's doing more. He used to do a lot of legal documents, so like real estate contracts and preparing legal documents. And he's like, there's not, and he's like, I'm using AI to do it. Like other people are going to realize that they can do the same thing at some point. And so he shifted to more like litigation type stuff. So like at some point, like, at least for now, we just had our attorney at the city council meeting presenting, trying to get this project approved. We're still going to be willing to pay an attorney. It's probably going to be a few years before it's an AI robot showing up to do that kind of stuff. And so if you're in one of these industries where it is going to get quickly replaced, I think just realizing that and then starting to make the pivot now, so that you're not kind of caught in the blind. One thing that is interesting, like I don't know if you follow Boston Dynamics, like the robotic company, and then even like Elon Musk's robotic companies. I just listened to him literally, I think this morning or yesterday. He's planning on, they're going to start manufacturing these robots by like the tens of thousands. And so he believes it's just a matter of time before there'll be like one humanoid type robot per person out there. And he believes, I'll be curious to see, but he thinks that you're going to be able to teach it how to do complex tasks. And so I think us being in the construction industry, I think that's probably one of the last ones to go, just because it's a lot of like, there's a lot of knowledge there. But when you team that robotics up with the AI, it could be it could be sooner rather than later. So it'll be curious. I'll be curious to see how that all evolves and how quickly. But I do think it's going to
Well,
happen faster than people realize.
I think it's a great point, and I think I recommend to everybody Elon Musk's biography by Walter Isaacson. It's an incredible book, and it really gives you insight into his mind. But the way that they got their self-driving software so good was all they did is fed AI videos of people driving correctly. And so when you think about that in terms of construction, like the bridge becomes a lot less to me. I still think it's a ways off because there's a lot of intricacies. But like, say you put 1,000 GoPros on plumbers across the country, and you feed those videos in, and they're all great plumbers, and all you do is feed those videos into an AI software. It's not that far-fetched, as long as the robot's capable of navigating that environment. When you think about it, like what they did with cars, it becomes more approachable to me, which also becomes scarier to me in a way. But it's the future. And if we could both have a guy out there who worked 12 hours straight every day and then recharged at night and didn't complain and showed up to work every day. And, again, I don't think it's going to eliminate jobs because it's super hard to find tradespeople. There's still going to be a demand. You're still going to have somebody check. But if somebody could fill that role, it'd be a huge benefit to us.
It'll just, it'll shift. I mean, and so I don't know. I'd be curious to see. One thing that I hope, right? I think we're still going to continue to need housing. And so it's like with our businesses, it's like, I'm going to continue to build housing. How they get built, I'm not 100% sure in 5 to 10 years, but we're going to keep building them because people are still going to need nice places to live. So I think that's going to be a thing. But stuff is going to shift very quickly. The self-driving cars thing, like the Teslas. I mean, I really think a lot of these Teslas, this is something that I didn't realize. And I honestly, not knowing this for a long time, people would talk about Tesla stock, and it just didn't make sense to me why this small electric car manufacturer stock was more valuable than these car companies that were like so much bigger and more profitable than them. Like I thought it was just like, kind of these online fad things where they'll like pump up the stocks because they're cool, but they're not really. There's nothing to back that up. You know what I mean? Because there's not the revenue to back that up with Tesla. The valuations don't make sense. I heard this somewhere, but it's not. Tesla's not a car company as much as it is a tech company. And all those cars driving around, all they're doing is capturing just tons and tons of data and storing it. And so they already have all this data stored. And so when they come out with the robotics, all they have to do is use that data that's already there. And when I heard that, that's what really clicked for me and realized that makes sense why the Tesla stock is so much higher than a lot of these other car companies. It's all that data that's already been kind of collected. And you ride around in Tesla, I don't have a Tesla, but you ride around, it's like scanning everything and picking out people and cars and lanes. It's pretty wild.
And when you think about I've been using Grok a decent amount as well for AI, and their integration with Twitter. And it's the same thing. Elon's been kind of masterful at the way he's designed his company's Twitter as an avenue to capture human thought and its integration directly into AI, and the ability for that to feed the algorithm and feed the answers is pretty ingenious. And so it's really going to be interesting to see how all that data is used over time to really improve it. And so I think that's going to be fun to see as well. To kind of wrap up the AI discussion, what would be your one big takeaway, or what would you encourage people to do kind of coming out of this discussion?
I think for people that aren't currently using it or aren't currently using it a lot, just get on there and try to, like I said, try to treat it like a friend who's got a perfect IQ, and just ask it simple questions or use it to help you solve simple problems. I had a conversation with a friend of mine who's a business owner the other day, and he was having a problem in his business where he was trying to work through something, just wanted somebody to bounce it off of, kind of like we do where we're having conversations about stuff. And I asked him, I said, have you got on ChatGPT and tried working through this problem you're having in your business with them yet? He said, no, I haven't. And so I kind of walked him through that. And one of the things he thought about was doing just a separate, kind of an add-on to his already existing business. And it was really simple for me to just do a really quick prompt and have it write like an email that he could send out to his already existing customer base. And it took me 4 seconds, and I copied and sent that to him. And he couldn't believe it. He was like, "Oh my gosh!" Like it's something he would have paid an ad agency all this money to do in the past. And it's like, and so I think he just didn't know. And so I think for people like himself, or even just if it's somebody working in an office, just start using it to help you with simple tasks, because you start to learn how to use it. And when these things come up, like you already know how you can kind of leverage that.
No, I would have extremely similar advice. Yeah, just using it every day for something simple. And if you want to do more complex things, ask it. Hey, I'd like to get more out of it. You know what I've used you for? Like, what's the next use case I should be thinking about? And like it sounds, I think that sounds stupid to people, but it's like it'll tell you, it'll give you a good answer. It'll say, well, you've used it for X, Y, and Z over the past week. To really turbocharge that, you should try X, Y, and Z. And so it will help you develop your own relationship with it. And so just really digging into that and just being able to being flexible and free with how you interact with it, I think is the biggest thing. It's here, it's the future.
The only other thing that pops to mind as you're saying through that is, and something I learned to do that's been very helpful, is have it ask you questions. And so give it the problem that you're working on, and preference if you can give it a context. Act as an expert in this industry. Can you help me solve this problem? But then like a step further would be, I'll tell it, ask me one question at a time to work through this issue. And then it'll start asking me questions, because a lot of times it'll ask me, well, I didn't even think about that. And so it'll help me think through the problem as well. And so have it ask you questions. It helps a lot, especially with more complex things.
No, I think that's fantastic. No, this was a great discussion, Chase. Thanks everybody for tuning in. If you've got good AI prompts or good uses that you found, let us know in the comments, or if you've got something we should dig deeper on, please let us know. But if you found this episode valuable, or any of them valuable, please like it, leave a review. That really helps us out. But no, we really appreciate everybody tuning in, and we'll see you guys next week.